Hey besties, welcome in. My name is Sabrina for those of you who do not know me yet, and it is Friday night, which means it is time to get lit. And by that, I definitely mean talk about literature. So if you are new here on Friday Night Lit, what we do is first we make a little drinky drink because it's the end of the work week. Okay, we're gonna have a little drink. I personally basically always am drinking mocktails. But you do whatever you want to do. You go get whatever drink makes you feel good. And after we make a little drinky drink, then we take it on over to the chair and we're going to talk about the books that I've been reading lately. If you were here last Friday Night Lit, you would know that I got this box from a company called Raising the Bar. I will say that I now have an affiliate link, so I'll put that down below in case you guys want to check them out. But we're going to make drink number 2 from this box and see if it's good and kind of make a decision about whether or not I'm going to actually subscribe to them. So I think I'm supposed to tell you that I paid for this myself. I didn't get it for free. I don't know how this stuff works, okay? Whatever. I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm telling you, I did pay for this, and since then, there has been an affiliate link that has been gotten. So whatever. So the drink that we're going to make this time is called All Shade. I just remembered I have to get something out of the fridge. Okay, I had to brew ahead a tea. This one is also going to involve, let's see, the blueberry lavender lemon drop. We have our citrus aperitif from last time. I think that's all that I need out of here, right? Oh, I need lemon juice. I forgot I need lemon juice. Okay, I have my drink marker on my cup and it says to fill a wine glass with ice, which honestly, that is my preferred way to drink literally anything. So the books that we have to talk about today, I believe there are 6 of them. And the first one is Library of Forbidden Books. So we're going to do 4 ounces of our butterfly tea. This was, you brew it and then you add honey, sugar, and lemon juice to it, and it turns from blue. So when it first steeps, it's blue. It turns from blue into this very dark purple color, which I absolutely love. So it needs 4 ounces of that. I'm about to make a mess, you guys. Truly, honestly, deeply, I'm making a mess here. So let's just do, I think I did a little bit more than 4 ounces in my cup here. Oh, should we taste the tea on its own? Okay, I'm into it. Now we need 1.5 ounces of our blueberry lavender lemon drop cocktail and mocktail mix. The second book that we're going to talk about is How to Hide an Empire. That was a riveting read. 1.5 ounces of this. So we also have to talk about A Dance of Lies and To Dance with Death. That's a duology that I read. Okay. Oh, I was just about to say, I'm doing this without making a mess, and then I made a little drip drop mess. All right. After that, we need 1 ounce of our aperitif, and then we'll also talk about The Summer I Turned Pretty. I forgot that when I opened this last time, it kind of broke, and I have to like get the lid out somehow. Oh my God, I forgot about this. This part is really inconvenient and annoying. Okay, that made my hands really sticky. Gross. Okay, what did I say this was? You need 1 ounce of this. I believe I left off with the next book being Marion. Ooh. Uh-oh, we might have done this just perfectly. And then the last book is going to be Lessons in Chemistry, which I literally just finished like yesterday, I think. And we need 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. I don't know if I have 1/2 ounce of lemon juice left in here. I wasn't aware that I was going to need lemon juice because I didn't really read the recipe ahead of time. You know, I work in the food industry, and that's kind of the first thing we teach people is to always read your recipe from start to finish before you start. Did I do that? No, I did not. So it says you could garnish it with a lemon wedge and a drink marker. Well, I put a drink marker down there. I don't have a lemon to wedge, so we're not doing that. But anyway, this is our second drink from Raising the Bar, and we're going to find out if this is any good. I'm going to figure out a better way to seal this because it's not working the way that it is currently. But for now, let's head over to the chair and talk about these books. Cheers. I'm excited to try it. It looks very pretty in the cup. Okay, we're here with our very pretty purple drink, and got my straw over here. Give it a little mix up here. All right, we're ready to taste it. Oh my. Oh, that is tart. I put lemon juice in it, but I don't think I thought it was going to be tart. Oh, okay, okay. I don't know that I'm getting blueberry lavender, which was the cocktail mix that we put in there. I don't mind it, but I don't think that flavor is coming through. I'm getting the citrus aperitif. I'm getting the lemon. I'm getting the sweetness from the tea that I brewed. I just don't get blueberry lavender. Interesting, but I like it. I like what it does taste like anyway. Okay, good drink. So I think that I would like to subscribe to this box. Maybe not forever, but for a little while. I'm going to think about it a little bit longer, but so far, I have liked what's been in the box. Okay, so moving on from the drink. If this is your first time here, I like to give a little disclaimer at the beginning that while I will not give true spoilers, there's potentially going to be heavy plot discussion going on. So I will have timestamps down below for each of the books that we're talking about. So if there's a particular book that you would like to read and you don't want anything about it spoiled for you, you can just skip right past it. With all that said, let's talk about these books, okay? The first book that we have to talk about tonight is Library of Forbidden Books. This is by somebody whose name I can't remember. Is it Marco something or other? Hold on, let me look it up. Hold on. Mario Escobar. I guess I was nowhere near close to what that author's name was. Okay, his name is Mario Escobar. Okay, so anyway, this one has not been published yet. It will be publishing on September 1st. I had to listen. I got notes down here. Okay, September 1st. And I read this as part of Camp NetGalley. So if you don't know what NetGalley is, it is a place where readers can go and get advanced copies of books. So they give you digital ones from publishers in exchange for a review. I always give very honest reviews of these books. Every summer they do something called Camp NetGalley, which is not a camp. It's really just a bunch of people getting these books that are read now. You don't have to request them. And then you read it and you review it and then they give you a badge. That's all there is to it. But I can't deny myself a badge, so I did it. Library of Forbidden Books is something that takes place in Germany at the beginning of the rise of Hitler. And so it is featuring our main character. I don't remember her name, but she was a librarian. Listen, y'all know, if you've been here before, y'all know I cannot remember anybody's name. I barely remember my own name, okay? So she's a librarian, and she is kind of giving us her take on Hitler's rise to power. She is not a part of the party, and she is a quarter Jewish. So it's a very interesting time for her. Her fiance, who she marries throughout the course of the book, actually is the personal assistant to one of the heads of the military. I don't know. I guess it's not that important that you know that, but her husband works kind of high up within the regime somewhere. So she's having a very complicated life. Okay. And it kind of takes us through the thoughts and opinions and feelings of people who were living through that time as Hitler was coming into power, and kind of their progression of, oh, that's, you know, he's talking kooky, but it's not going to really be anything to, oh my God, I can't believe they're letting him do that. Like, who would listen to him? To, oh no, this is getting very uncomfortable, to like literally hiding out. Through the course of all of that, the other issue is that they're banning books. They're banning any kind of book that could even potentially be a little bit controversial. The banning of books is a common thing that has happened throughout history. It is a very unfortunate thing. I think if you're here, you could probably agree with that. And so the librarian and her librarian friends decide they're going to start hiding away books to keep them from being burned. They go to great lengths and risk a lot of personal harm by doing this. And they are squirreling away the books in a hiding place, and then they have to go to another hiding place because that hiding place is about to be found out. And I think we eventually get to even a third hiding place. But I think the thing that was kind of like unique to this was that for the books that they just couldn't save for whatever reason, they were having people memorize the book from start to finish. And they had a whole like coalition of people who volunteered to memorize books, and they would memorize chunks of it. and another person would memorize the second chunk of it, and they would have to recite it before they turned the book back in. And so in that way, they were able to save all of the books from being burned and banned and gone forever. Now, original copies of books obviously couldn't be saved, but we still got to have the message and the words that were put into the books. So it was about them saving the books in the time of the rise of Hitler and his regime. I picked this one out of the lineup because I think I mentioned this before. All of the historical fictions that are written about this time period are like exclusively written by women. So I just was curious what the male perspective was going to be on this issue. I was a little bit anxious, but also curious. I also felt like this book itself is something that could be banned like right now-ish. And the third reason I picked it is because it's a historical fiction. I love a historical fiction. It's like one of my top genres. Fantasy and histfic are my top genres. I don't read enough of either one of them because I'm trying to push myself to read other stuff. But anyway, I picked this book. I thought it was really good. It was translated, and I do feel some of it might have been lost in translation. Like some of the bits and pieces of it just kind of read a little funny. Like I don't even have a specific example of that. But as I was reading it, I was like, is that really how the author meant that? Or did it get translated in a very strange way? It didn't overall like destroy my reading experience or anything like that. It was just something to note. I was like, that feels a little bit weird. And it was like phrasing was a little bit awkward. So I don't know. Anyway, so in terms of the vibes of this book, I'm going to put it at a 3. I had a good time with it. It wasn't like through the roof incredible, potentially because I was reading about the rise of Hitler and a lot of things that kind of mimic a lot of things that are going on in current political climates. And maybe that was just not the best time ever. I'm going to put it at a 3. I had a good time. The things that I was worried about with the male perspective on this did not come to fruition. Like I thought maybe there was a chance that this could become like a bro book, and I was not in the mood for that. And it did not. So that was good. So this one was a good read, and you should definitely pick this up when it comes out on September 1st and read it. If you're into historical fiction and if you are into books about books and or libraries, which I very much am. Man, I've barely started filming and my throat hurts already. I think it's because earlier today I was doing a training, and when I'm training people, I tend to project my voice quite a bit to make sure the people in the back row can hear me. My throat is already killing me. It's okay. We're gonna push through. We're gonna persevere. Okay, so the next book is How to Hide an Empire, A History of the Greater United States. So speaking of historical fiction, this is actually a nonfiction, but it doesn't read like a nonfiction. So a lot of times nonfictions are dense, but this is literally what it says. It's a history of the Greater United States. And the big takeaway, the thing that the author in here talks about the most is like this right here, what you see right here, that is something called the logo map. That's what most of us think of when we think of the United States, like what the United States looks like. But what the logo map doesn't really show us are all of the islands and territories and things that we currently or have owned, and also all of the hideous, heinous things that we have done to them. I read this book for 2 reasons. I read it as part of the Bisexual Bookshelves reading challenge, and that reading challenge challenges you to read a number of books that will prepare you for the political climate that we're currently in. I guess I'm having a political climate moment right now, you guys. So this was the first of a number of books that I plan to read from that challenge. I also have read it for something in the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, aka Herked. So this was a really good book for me to read just for my own personal reading challenge goals. But beyond that, what happened in this book was we basically walked through the beginning of the formation of our country up until mostly current day. The thing that I kept finding myself coming back to in this book was the fact that we as a country have done some horrible shit to a lot of people. So we're talking about Hawaii. We're talking about Bikini Atoll, which like that's a cute name, but please. We are talking about the Philippines. Oh my God. I did not know so much about the Philippines. we're talking about Native Americans. And so a lot of the things that he talks about in this book are events that we know about. So we know about Pearl Harbor, the bombing of Pearl Harbor. We know about December 7th, but like there's so much that is not really publicized or not really known about that situation. So for instance, the event itself didn't take place on December 7th for the most part. We were bombed on December 7th, but there were a lot of other places that were bombed at the exact same time. And for them, they were across the date line already. So it was actually December 8th. But our understanding of what happened that day is centralized on Pearl Harbor. And when you look at any of the literature, any of the media surrounding that, it is very, what's the word? Targeted, intentional, to give the impression that this has nothing to do with foreigners and it's just your average white bread Americans that were impacted by it, because I guess that's how you have to sell it to the nation, which is crazy. So, but it's not just that. There's so many other things. Like, for instance, I did not know that we had possession of Manila for a very long time. But what did we do with it? We bombed the F out of it. Like literally just like disintegrated it instead of letting anybody else take it over, which is like, that's so childish. And so this book was filled with a lot of things like that. It also talked about the Trail of Tears and how that actually went down. Like I think most of us know what that is. It is when the Native Americans were marched out of their homes and sent walking to Oklahoma to land that had been reserved for them, which I think we probably mostly know that they did not exactly prosper once they got there. But there were all sorts of crazy things that happened. Like a Native American family came back to their home one night and there were white people living there. And they were like, excuse me, this is our house. What are you doing? And the white people were like, it's definitely my house now. And that was fine. That was allowed to stand. So there were so many things that I took away from this book. And I'm just like, okay, I feel like it's a book that I'm going to have to revisit at some point in the future and kind of like at least skim back through. There was so much that happened. So Bikini Atoll, if you don't know, because I didn't know, that's where they tested a lot of nuclear weapons. Just bombed the hell out of this island, this atoll. And who cares about the people who actually already live here? America. So the vibes for this, absolute 5, even though it was completely horrific. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. It was a 5 because it was so eye-opening and there's so many things that I learned from it. It was a great history lesson. And honestly, if we're not teaching history based on a book like this, what are we teaching history for? So she's probably going to get banned pretty soon. Banned books. That's the theme of today's episode. You should pick this up. Don't be alarmed by the length of this book because this portion right here is just footnotes. It's your notes. You got abbreviations in here. You have a works cited. What do you call that? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things in the back that are not part of the actual book. And I will say that the end portion of this is about language and about how language is empire and how we have used selective language to imply that this is not an empire. The United States is just the United States. And furthermore, most people just think of it as what's on the logo map. So that kind of excludes Hawaii, Alaska, and Puerto Rico. And it definitely always excludes Puerto Rico when you look at a logo map. The language choices that we make feed into that heavily. And also the fact that English is the language that is spoken in so much of the world is crazy. And the way that happened, read the book to find out. Seriously, read this book to find out. It blew me away. Okay. All right. So that was that book. Oh, I love the sour. I think I talk about this all the time. I love a sour drink. So that's good for me. So the next book that we're going to talk about is actually going to be kind of like 2 books in one, sort of. So we have A Dance of Lies, and then the follow-up to that is To Dance with Death. This is a duology by Brittany Arena. It's called the Edge of Glass duology. So I read these 2 basically back to back for a reading vlog. Actually, there's a reading vlog for this that has gone up. Oh, it was a fun little series to read. I appreciate that it was only a duology. So I'm trying to think about how I want to talk about these, because I do want to do each book its own justice, but at this point they kind of run together, which is why I picked them up together. So let's start with the first one, A Dance of Lies. This one was the beginning of something grandiose. It had a lot of political intrigue and espionage in it. And so the premise of this series is we have our main girl, Vasily, and she, at the start of the book, is a prisoner. She has been imprisoned for murder, which she did not actually commit. She's pulled from her jail cell. She's brought before the king, and he says, I'm going to let you go if you will spend 6 weeks spying for me and doing whatever I asked you to do at the gathering with the capital G, where all of the nations come together for a party and political whatever. Okay, so she basically is like, well, I mean, what happens if I don't? And he's like, you're gonna die. So she decides to take him up on his offer. Now, as the story progresses, we kind of get a lot of backstory between the two of them. So she has been his jewel, essentially his private dancer for a number of years. And she has also escaped from a different kingdom from her terrible father. He knows that she didn't do what she was in prison for because she was with him when the thing happened. Okay. That's kind of their backstory. We get to the gathering and he starts giving her tasks, her things that she's going to do for spying for him. And they start off a little bit innocuous, like, okay, whatever. And he starts escalating these things. Now, it's important to know that it's called A Dance of Lies because she is a dancer. She has been crippled or she has become disabled from the mistreatment and malnourishment that she experienced while she was in jail. And he basically is like, you're going to dance no matter what. So the way she got snuck into the gathering is by auditioning to be one of the entertainers, a dancer while she's there. And so she gets snuck in and she has to dance despite the fact that her body doesn't want to dance anymore. And a lot of what we talk about throughout the book, in addition to the espionage, in addition to all those things, is the way that she's learning to use her body, her new body, what her body is now capable of. She has to figure out how to dance and dazzle people without having full range of motion while experiencing a ton of pain. And so it is a extremely relatable situation. Not that I'm a dancer, just having to learn how to use your new body, how to navigate the world in a body that is experiencing disability or that is impacted by something that is beyond your control. So she's dancing, she's spying, and there's a very low-lying romance. One of the main people that she's tasked with spying on is this king's brother. So he's another king. Listen, when their dad died, there were 3 brothers. The dad split the nation in 3. So all 3 of them have a section of the nation. So she's being tasked with spying on brother number 3, Anton. Okay, so that's one of the main spying tasks that she has. There's a pseudo sort of underlying romance that's maybe budding between the two of them, but there's also some maybe possibly romance budding between her and her, essentially her boss, the master reveler, who is also a dancer. And then you get the sense that there might have been a little bit of romance between her and the king who put her in prison. So it's very confusing what's going to happen. And there's just a lot going on. Then we get into To Dance with Death. Stuff starts popping off in To Dance with Death, okay? So I don't want to really give away exactly what happens in it. But at the end of this one, I'm just like, it was touch and go whether anybody was going to live or die. And Anton lost his memory. Okay. So this book is about what we need Anton to do. And he doesn't remember anything. And Vasily is doing stuff I'm going to have to tell you what it's about, but I don't want to tell you what it's about. But needless to say, in this book, well, in both books, let's just talk about the writing. So in both books, Brittany Arena's writing is so wonderful. It's just a beautiful thing to read. And I was having such a good time with the way she was describing everything and the intricate detail of all of the colors and patterns in the world. I just thought it was really well written. I thought that the story between the two books progressed at just the right pace. Like I never felt like we didn't need that, or, oh, that was lagging, or we needed more. Like I felt like it was just right. And I think that a lot of authors who sometimes write trilogies could probably take a note from Brittany here, because this easily could have been drug out into a trilogy, but it was not. She wrote a duology, and that was exactly where the story needed to be. I will say, I went to the book release for both of these actually, but I went to the book release for this one, and she told us that the cover art has a Easter egg on it. And I'm looking at it like, well, what could that be? I don't know. All in all, if you put these two together, the vibes on the whole series, I'm going to give it a 4. And the only reason why is because this is billed as a romantasy, and there is a love story, but it's not a huge focus of the book like I would have expected it to be, given that we're calling it a romantasy. But I had a great time. I had a great freaking time with these. These are heavy though, so I'm going to put them down. Individually, I would give each of them a 4 as well. So honestly, if I was into making half hearts for the vibes, I would give it a 4.5, but I'm not about to make a graphic with a half heart. So we're just going to stick with 4. Okay. Then I read The Summer I Turned Pretty. Now I read this one because I own it, A, and B, I needed to complete the Goodreads reading challenge for a book with literally the word summer in the title. Y'all know I'm pissed at Goodreads about that, because I had literally just read a book with the word summer in the title before, like the day before they announced that challenge. Ticked me right off. Anyway, so someone gave me this book for free. I actually got the whole trilogy. Someone gave it to me for free. I've never really picked it up, but it seemed like the best and easiest one to read for this challenge. And truthfully, it's because I put a bunch of those books that I owned onto my Libby holds for the audio book, and this was the first one that popped up. So this is the one that won. So I listened to this. I did read a little bit of it physically, but I mostly listened to it while I was driving for work. This is, okay, it's super YA, which I think I think I've said before that I'm not really the YA target audience at this point in my life and my reading journey. I may come back to it at some point in time, but right now it's not really doing it for me. So this is essentially about a girl, the main character, Belly, and every summer she and her brother and her mom go to Cousins Beach and stay with her mom's best friend who has 2 boys. And so it's about their summers together and about how she essentially was like in love with one of the boys, one of the mom's friend's kids. And it kind of takes us through summer by summer, from when she was an ugly duckling to when she became pretty. There is some tragedy that befalls them. And by the end of the book, everything has changed. And so it's kind of just like a nostalgia thing. I feel like if I say anything more, I am giving away the entire book, because there's not a whole lot that happens that is not tied up in the ending of this book. But suffice to say, we have a young high school girl who has this, she's got this crush on this guy, and there's another boy involved in the situation as well. And she's just kind of walking us through each summer that she spent with them, and, how her relationship with everyone there changed, her relationship with her mom, with her mom's friend. And so at one point she actually brought a friend from school with her to Cousins Beach for the summer, and things did not go according to plan. I appreciated it for what it was, which is a YA novel. I don't think that I really need to read the rest of these books. Like, again, I'm not truly the target audience for this anymore at this point in my life. In terms of vibes, I mean, for me, it was a 3. It wasn't bad by any means. It was actually a little bit sad, where I was like, oh, no. If you like YA, and especially if you like YA romance, honey, pick this up, because it was a good story in that aspect. For me, it's just my vibes. Like, did I vibe with it? Was this exactly what I was looking for? It was 3. It was like, oh, okay. So I don't think I'm like 99% sure I'm not going to be finishing the series. So the whole series is going to go at the end of the year when I do my unhaul. I only unhaul books once a year, and that will be at the end of the year. And I only unhaul books that I've already read, or if it's like the rest of the series that I read book 1 and I'm not going to do it. So I'm pretty sure all 3 of these are going to go, but we'll find out in December where my brain's at with that. Maybe it just needs more time to marinate. I don't know. We'll find out. So yeah, Summer I Turned Pretty. All right. Then I read Marion, which is a thriller horror. Marion is actually a alternate, like, what would you call that? It's a what if this happened instead for Psycho. So I actually only know the broad strokes of Psycho, but my understanding is that in Psycho, Marion gets killed, right? I think that's right. So in Marion, the would-be victim actually ends up being the murderess. And my girl goes on a spree. It's kind of an accidental spree. Like, I don't think she really meant to kill this many people, but mama was busy. So, yeah, essentially, she stole a bunch of money, kind of accidentally, but kind of not. And then a bus broke down and she ends up at a random ass motel. And the motel owner tried to her. And she was like, absolutely freaking not, and took care of that situation. And then she just had to keep taking care of situations. It's one of those things where, like, you know, where if you like lie to somebody, then you have to like corroborate the lie with more lies. It was kind of one of those things. You murder one person, and it's like, then you have to murder somebody else because they might find out that you murdered somebody. On and on and on it went. There's not a whole lot more to that story. Like, honestly, she's just killing people. There was a detective who is also investigating. So there is a little bit of mystery in this, in that we kind of get 2 points of views and it seems like they're overlapping, but they're kind of not. And there is actually a twist that I didn't guess. Maybe if you are familiar with Psycho, you might have guessed the twist, but there's a bit of a twist in there that I was not able to guess. So I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. So that was in there and that was nice. I don't really read thriller horror books. I read this as a side quest book for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do because I needed something with blood on the cover. I would not have picked this up otherwise. Oh, it also counted for 2 of the Goodreads challenges. So, you know, I have to get those bookmarks. I would not have picked this book up otherwise, but it was good. I'm giving it a 4 in terms of the vibes because I didn't have a terrible time with it. There was a lot of blood mentioned, but there wasn't body horror for the most part. So I was okay with it. And I also was like, you go girl. Like, yes, I support women's rights and women's wrongs. And I would say that this was actually a women's right. I mean, he was going to off her and she took care of it. So I had a good time with this. I'm giving it a 4. I thought it was really well done. And for someone who doesn't read mystery thrillers, I did have a grand old time with it. So yeah, my hat's off for that. We have one more to talk about and the battery is about to die. Let's see if I can get all of this in really quick. Ready? Okay. So the last book that we have to talk about is Lessons in Chemistry. I literally just finished reading this and the story that I thought I was getting was not exactly correct, but it is essentially a woman. We're in the 1960s. She is a scientist. She's a chemist. And she goes through a series of unfortunate events that lead to a place where she gets fired from her job as a chemist, primarily for being an unwed pregnant woman. She has to figure it out on her own. And something with her daughter's classmate's father, there's an interaction and he's like, I'm going to put you on TV because you can cook good. And so she becomes a TV show host. She gains the courage to stand up for herself in the process of this. And by the end of it, I was like, yes, queen, yes. Like it was another Marion situation where I'm like, I support this. The thing that I just was horrified by was all of the SA that happens in the book. There is a situation early on when she's in college. There is a situation at work. And it's just so much like denying the fact that she's a woman and a woman has their own needs and desires and demands and faculties about them. And I get that's honestly just how it was, I believe. And it just was horrifying to read because it could not be me. Like, I don't know what I would have done if I was born in that time period because I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not doing all that. Okay. That's kind of my motto in life. I'm not doing all that. Okay. And so she faces a lot of adversity in just trying to exist as a person who has thoughts and opinions because she's a woman. And then because she's unwed and she has a baby. And it's very unfortunate, but I do like that she came out on top. I do love that for her. I thought this was really well written. The one thing about this is that there is a dog and the dog has POV in the book. Y'all didn't tell me about that. I was quite put off by that in the beginning. I was like, why is the dog doing this? I don't get it. But by the end, it just kind of blended in with the rest of the writing and it didn't bother me quite as much. It was a bit much though. It was a bit weird. I was very concerned and confused about the dog situation. I have been waiting a long time to read this book. I first waited for it to come out in paperback and then I waited to find this cover. I am very glad that I did read it though. Like this was such a good read and it just kind of reminded me of how far we've come and how far I don't want to go back to. Listen, do I want to be a stay-at-home reader? Yes. Am I going to be a stay-at-home housewife? Not really. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to pack my man his lunch, okay? But all the rest of this stuff, like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to the 1960s housewife situation. I have my own dreams and aspirations in terms of how many books I'm going to read when I'm a stay-at-home reader. Can you tell that I have that life all planned out? It was just like a good reminder of where we've come from and how hard it used to be for everybody. So I really enjoyed reading this. I really liked the writing in it. I want to see what else Bonnie Garmis has written. And I would recommend that everyone pick this up and read it. I'm sorry, the cover is like really shiny and I'm just flopping the book around over and over and over again. So this was a good read. Oh, did I tell you the vibes? The vibes on this was a 5. It's really like a 4.5, but instead of a 4.5 that I want to round down, it's a 4.5 that I want to round up because I would round this up to a 5. The dog is the thing that kind of brought it down for me, but it's okay. It's okay because it got good at the end. So vibes super high on this one. Pick it up and read it if you haven't read it yet. I will say that it also read pretty quickly. Like I didn't feel like it was dragging on at all. That's it, you guys. We made it to the end. The battery did not kill over on me just yet. We have 3% left. So with that said, I'm going to chug this drink. Those are the books that I've read the last couple of weeks, and I really tried hard to avoid like spoilers, but still being able to talk about the book. I don't know, like some of this was just really, really good, and I feel like you have to read it yourself in order to get the full thing. Like if you go into it already knowing some stuff, like I feel like that might ruin it for you. Oh, there was one thing that I wanted to talk about in Lessons of Chemistry. So one part was that she is teaching her daughter to read at a very early age. And her daughter's a little bit eccentric. And so at one point she's playing with the neighbor, like the older neighbor is coming over to watch her for Elizabeth, our main character, and the neighbor tells the like 3 or 4-year-old like, oh, let's go outside and make mud pies or whatever. And the little girl is like, okay. She's looking at her like, that's super weird. She goes outside and she takes a stick and she starts writing pie in the mud, like 3.14, blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was super freaking funny. I will say that there's actually a good amount of humor and wit written into this book. And so I super enjoyed that. I'm going to try to chug this drink. And since you made it this far, do me a favor and hit that like button. Do me a super favor and hit the subscribe button if you've not done that yet. Tell your friends, okay? Tell your friends that I'm here talking about books. We're yapping, we're drinking, we're having a good time. And now that you've done all of that, we're friends. We're officially besties now. And so with that, I will see you all in the very next video.